Hi guys, hello. This is Noor Zubda in the Thank Gut It's Fixed show. It's Wednesday about 1:30 p.m. Thank you for joining me live in the ninth episode of the show. I'm super excited. We've been doing this for 9 weeks. So today's episode is going to be about magnesium, and it was actually very interesting. As I was preparing for today's show, I got an email from one of the listservs, or one of the educational emails that I get was about magnesium as well. So it was really cool that I was like, maybe that was a coincidence. So as always, I have some of my show notes next to me. So if you see me look in a different place, that's just because I want to make sure that I give you all the information that I have prepared for you. So today we have a bunch of things going on. Like a lot of information about magnesium. And it is one of those topics that I'm really super passionate about because there are just so many health benefits to magnesium, and it's involved in more than 350 different processes and enzymes in the body, and 50% of people the statistic is that they are deficient in magnesium. So not everybody knows that they are deficient, and and they are suffering, and they don't really know that it's a problem that they're missing. So if you are joining me live, let me know where you are, where you're listening from, and just helps with the discussion. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, this is Noor Zibda, functional dietitian and nutritionist, and this is the Thank Gut It's Fixed show. So first of all, we're going to start talking. The first thing I want to address is like, wait, this is a gut related show. Why am I talking about magnesium today? Well, number one, everything is related to the gut. If it's a nutrient, if it's a mineral, a vitamin, if you're not getting enough of it because your gut is inflamed and you're not digesting nutrients properly, you're not absorbing things properly, then it has to do with the gut. And that's number one. Number two, when I talked about constipation a few weeks ago, magnesium is one of those minerals that are related to constipation. So if you have a problem in that, magnesium will help. Plus, because of the nature of the things that can be affected by the gut, like migraines or having muscle pain, or joint pain, because magnesium, anxiety, nervousness, because magnesium is involved in all of those, it's one of those tools and therapies that I use. And so I always incorporate it in my, whether we're putting a food plan or a supplement plan. So that's why the gut show is talking about magnesium today. So the first thing I want to talk about is, why is magnesium important? So the first benefit is that magnesium actually helps you for people who have diabetes. So if you have diabetes or insulin insensitivity, meaning that your body cannot sense or utilize insulin properly, actually taking magnesium can help reduce your fasting glucose, and it can actually help improve how your cells see and utilize insulin, so that improves insulin sensitivity, which is a good thing. We want that to happen. And several studies are on magnesium and diabetes, and they found even as low as 100 milligrams a day of magnesium for 3 months. A lot of studies, 1,000. I have a study with more than 1,000 people, a review study, and they give magnesium from 1 month to 6 months, and it seems that 3 months is a good number of months to see the benefit. And I confirm that in my practice, because I do give magnesium for my diabetes patients, and when their hemoglobin A1C numbers are stuck, and then we give them magnesium in conjunction with other things, we see the hemoglobin A1C number goes down. So diabetes is number one. Number two is cardiovascular disease. Some evidence shows that it can help reduce blood pressure, reduce the risk of stroke, and also potentially arrhythmias. And think of magnesium is, with it involved in so many enzymes and pathways in metabolism, so it's going to affect the heart. The heart is a muscle, so we are going, anytime it contracts and relaxes, then magnesium is going to be involved. Now, the third benefit is, bone health. This is really important. And a lot of people are thinking of calcium when it comes to bone health. And while calcium is the most predominant mineral in your bones, your body actually needs magnesium to metabolize and use calcium and use vitamin D. So vitamin D is the vitamin that helps you absorb the calcium. So when you don't have enough magnesium, then and you're taking a vitamin D supplement, you actually may not be benefiting from the from the vitamin D supplement. Plus, because the body will use up all of your magnesium to metabolize and use vitamin D efficiently, then you actually may be more deficient in magnesium as you take high doses of vitamin D. So anything that's 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, or even the 50,000 weekly is going to deplete you from magnesium. Now, the other thing, magnesium is an mineral that is actually going to be in your bones as well. So even though calcium and phosphorus are the more predominant, there's still magnesium in your bones, and actually 50 to 60% of the magnesium in your body is in your bones. So the next one is going to be constipation. We talked about constipation a few episodes, and I can put the link for the constipation episode if that's something that you want to learn about. But because magnesium helps with muscle relaxation and muscle contraction, when you are deficient in magnesium, then your muscles are not relaxing properly, and that can be one of the reasons why you are constipated. So you actually benefit greatly from magnesium supplements. Now, I will be talking later about magnesium used as a laxative, which is magnesium sulfate, which is not the type of magnesium that I'd recommend for constipation because it doesn't really fix a deficiency. Anything we do, we don't want something that just covers up the symptom, which is constipation. We really want to address if magnesium deficiency is what's making you have constipation, especially if you have the other symptoms, then we want to make sure that we give you enough of the nutrient and that you take it properly so we fix everything and the root cause. So migraines and headaches. Another benefit to magnesium, they found that because magnesium is involved in the constriction, like how your veins constrict, become smaller and tighter, and also some of the neurotransmitters, which are the brain chemicals. And so magnesium supplements can actually help reduce the severity and the frequency of migraines and headaches. And I actually do use that with my patients, and I find that it does help. It's not the only part of the picture. There are other things that are involved in migraines and headaches, but it's one of those things that I'm going through a checklist and taking care of the certain foods, food sensitivities, certain chemicals in food. Magnesium is one of the tools or checklists that makes a complete picture when it comes to migraines and headaches. Now, muscle pain and fibromyalgia. Because magnesium helps relax, there are studies that actually show that it can help, magnesium supplements helps with muscle pain and fibromyalgia. And things like sleep and calming as well too, because of it being a muscle relaxant. Plus, it actually can block some of the receptors on the brain that makes you hyperexcited or overstimulated. So taking magnesium, especially at night, it might help you calm down. It can actually help reduce cravings, improve sleep quality too. And then some studies show that magnesium helps with PMS symptoms. So if you have mood issues or if you have water retention while you're taking during your period, then magnesium can be a problem. So those were the most important things, and they are across the board on a variety of different body parts: the diabetes, blood sugar, blood pressure, bone health, constipation, muscle pain, joint pain, sleep, and relaxing. Now, some people might ask, well, how do I know if I have a vitamin or a magnesium deficiency? And while we actually only 1% of magnesium is in the blood. So a blood test for magnesium isn't necessarily a good reflection of your stores. As I said, 50 to 60% of your magnesium is going to be in your bones. A lot of it is going to be in your muscles. But what you can test, you can ask your doctor to test, is something called RBC magnesium, which stands for red blood cells. And that can give you an idea of the magnesium that's attached to the red blood cells. And that was a better indicator. I use testing for magnesium in my SpectraCell testing, which we look at other minerals and other vitamins, and I really like to do that in conjunction with vitamin D to give me an idea of how much their levels are when they're taking vitamin D supplements. That's a special test. What it looks at is how the tissues are using the vitamins as opposed to how much is in your blood. So that's going to be really a better indicator of your magnesium stores. But even the RBC magnesium, red blood cell magnesium, is going to be a good way to track how much magnesium. The other thing is I go by is symptoms. If you have muscle pain, if you have headaches, and you're constipated, then these are three things that are questionable. If you have high blood sugar, high blood pressure, then maybe you're one of those people who will benefit from magnesium. And what I will talk about next is the reasons why people may be deficient in magnesium. And if you feel like some of those apply to you, then maybe it's even another way to confirm that you are one of the, as I said, 50% of people have magnesium deficiency, that you may be one of those people. So why? It can be that you're not eating enough of the foods that contain magnesium, and I will talk about the different foods right now. Now, if you have low stomach acid, and we talked about that, I believe in episode 4, if you have low stomach acid, then your body is not able to absorb those minerals. If you have any disruption in your gut or gut inflammation, such as Crohn's disease or gluten sensitivity or dysbiosis or leaky gut, even if you have gastric bypass, that's a very important thing, and parts of your gut or your stomach has been taken out, this will predispose you, will make you likely to have a magnesium deficiency. So remember, you are not what you eat, you are what you digest and absorb. And if you cannot absorb it because you have gut issues, then you're going to be deficient in magnesium. Now, people in diabetes actually tend to be, diabetes can itself cause magnesium deficiency, because what it does, it makes your kidneys get rid of magnesium or of this mineral in your urine. So that can be actually, it can be like one of those cycles, is that diabetes makes you have low magnesium levels, and low magnesium levels worsen your glucose and your insulin sensitivity. So that's one of those places where you actually do benefit from taking a supplement and not counting on food alone. Now, older adults and aging, as we age, the digestive system doesn't work properly. You don't have as much enzymes. Older people tend to have more losses of minerals in their kidneys, so magnesium is one of those. And so that's one of the reasons why, an older population may be deficient in magnesium. And medications can cause magnesium deficiency, such as PPIs, which we talked about those. These are acid suppressing medications. Long-term can cause magnesium deficiency. And even things like diuretics that are used for blood pressure, or if you have water retention, if you've been prescribed a diuretic, some of them can cause magnesium deficiency. And alcohol consumption also can interfere with that. So if some of those apply to you, and on top of that you have the symptoms, then chances are that you have magnesium deficiency. So for those of you who are joining, if anyone is joining right now, ask me your questions. I am happy to answer them during the live streaming or as we finish. So what is, how much magnesium should you have in a day? The number is 300 milligrams per day. And if we want to think about food, how much food do you need to eat to have magnesium? So if we just add up the numbers, it's actually not that bad. If you eat an ounce of almonds, so that's about 22 almonds, 1 cup of cooked spinach, and a cup of beans plus half a cup of avocado, you're going to get, in theory, the amount of magnesium that you need for that day. The reason I say in theory, because there's a big but here, if your digestion is not proper, if you don't have enough enzymes, if you have digestive or gut inflammation, you are not going to use this magnesium. And there are certain compounds in food, sometimes people refer to them as anti-nutrients. I don't necessarily use this term a lot, but these are compounds in food that are going to bind to minerals, that are going to bind to nutrients or food components and prevent you from absorbing these nutrients. So these are things like oxalates, which are found in spinach, lectins, which are found in beans and in grains and in seeds and legumes, phytates, which are also going to be in seeds and nuts and beans. So between the phytates, the oxalates, and the lectins that are found in food, So you may not be able to absorb the magnesium that's in spinach or kale or beans or whole grains, and that is going to be a problem. Remember, you are not what you eat, you are what you digest and you absorb. So even though we can technically or in theory get to the number, which is the 300 milligrams, we actually may not be able to, or your body may not be able to extract this amount from your food. And that's why I do actually use supplements, and I do recommend those, especially if you have migraines, if you have constipation, if you have any of the symptoms. Now, if you're really healthy, you have no issues, then you're probably getting it from food, and that's fine. But if you have diabetes, heart disease, worried about your bone health, you take high dose of vitamin D. If you're taking calcium, because too much calcium can actually interfere with how much magnesium you're absorbing, so you really need to balance your calcium and your magnesium. And if you're having any of those symptoms, then you might benefit from supplements. Now, I don't usually like to recommend supplements in videos because we're all different, and depends on what else you're taking. You have to make sure that it doesn't contradict with any of your medications, but it uses as a general education, and you can private message me if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer if it's something I can answer right here on Facebook. But magnesium oxide, that is going to be the most common type of magnesium. And if you open or take a look at your multi, it's going to have magnesium oxide in it. I don't recommend this kind because it's not absorbed properly, it's not utilized properly, and actually it might make you have diarrhea. So I don't recommend that. I do recommend instead the magnesium that comes in bound to amino acids, or things like not like metabolites in the body. So they call it magnesium or chelates. So citrate, magnesium citrate, magnesium malate, or magnesium glycinate. These are the three that I use. Citrate, typically I use it if I have patients with constipation, or if patients have like sleep or anxiety. Magnesium malate is what I typically use if they have muscle pain, but we can also use the citrate as well. Magnesium glycinate is sort of my go-to, especially if someone has diarrhea. I don't want to give them something that will make their bowels relax and potentially make the diarrhea a little bit worse. And it's good for like general use. So these are the three different types that I alternate between, or I might use depending on the patients. And magnesium sulfate, or milk of magnesia, or you might have used that as a laxative if you had to do a colonoscopy. It may be one of those things that you have to take to help your body just get rid of your stools, so that like a cleansing effect. I don't recommend it as a laxative on a regular basis, because what we're saying here, 50% of people are deficient. So your body, your internal organs and your processes and your enzymes don't have enough magnesium. You need it for so many different functions in the body. So if you're constipated and you just take the laxative form just to cover up the symptom, which is constipation, then you really haven't benefited from the mineral. You haven't addressed the underlying cause, which is that you have a mineral deficiency. So that's when I do recommend the citrate, the malate, or the glycinate. Now, they're not going to have an immediate effect. It's something that you want to take on regular basis, but we are fixing a deficiency as opposed to just giving you something to cause a diarrhea or a laxative effect. Plus, that's uncomfortable. That's and then can worsen inflammation. Plus, when you don't use your gut, you start to lose the function in it. So we want to make sure that we're giving the gut what it needs to do things properly, as opposed to just cover it up and give a quick fix solution. How much magnesium should you take? The upper limit is 300 milligrams. It's what's also recommended, so that's the range that you can probably safely stick with and be on the safe side. I've used higher doses in the past with my patients, but I've only used those when I'm working with them privately, so I'm going to reserve that for when I know more information about that person. I wanted to mention another thing with magnesium. It's not going to be in your general multi because it's a big mineral. if you look at your multi, it may have like 10 milligrams or of magnesium oxide. So it's really not going to be that beneficial. If you are magnesium deficient, you actually really need to get it separately. And many of the products, oh, that's another observation that I noticed from my patients is the citrate, the malate, that are bound to the magnesium are derived from something, and a lot of times these are derived from corn. And if you have a sensitivity to corn, and a lot of my patients end up with that, they actually do notice a difference if they're getting a supplement that is derived from corn or that is not derived. So in my practice, I only use corn-free magnesium forms just because as an insurance that this doesn't cause problems for people with sensitivity to corn, and I typically can uncover that through a food sensitivity program. But in general, if we can eliminate something with corn, as it can be inflammatory in many other ways, that's the preference or what I go to. So there you go. This is it for magnesium for today. Remember, the key points are that 50% of people have a deficiency. It is needed for your bone health, for managing your blood sugar, to prevent heart disease, helps you with constipation, helps you relax, helps you sleep, reduce muscle pain and muscle cramps. And if you have PMS, it can help you also reduce bloating and water retention and your mood. So if you have any of these issues and you have some sort of gut issues like bloating, indigestion, heartburn, if you've been taking an antacid medication or a diuretic, if you already have diabetes, if you actually have a kidney issue, I'd say it's really important to talk to your doctor with your kidneys. Don't mess up with minerals. But if you don't have a kidney issue, these are just the things, the when there's a combination of symptoms plus some sort of gut problem, that's a sign that you're not absorbing the magnesium that you that's in your food, and potentially you might need a supplement to support that. So this was it for today's episode. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. And if you're watching the recording, write me your comments whenever, or your questions. I will answer them later. And what do we have? So this is it. Make sure you join me next time, Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. on the Thank Gut It's Fixed show. Today was episode number 9. I'll see you next time. This is Noor Zibde, functional dietitian and nutritionist, and I will see you next week.